And that's probably going to transition to a question that a lot of you guys are probably thinking is alloy or carbon. Which way do you go? What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Mo Awesome here, and today it's finally time to talk about a bike that I have been riding a lot lately. If you guys follow me on social media, you'll have seen that I've been putting the Ibis Ripmo AF through the ringer. Also my wallet as well, because I have made a lot of upgrades to this thing. But yeah, so regardless, it's time to finally talk about the changes I have made to this bike. I have made quite a few. I actually think I've almost upgraded the entire bike. But before we talk about what I think about this bike, what I changed on this bike, what I recommend changing on this bike, and just kind of overall gist, we have to go get a shred in. Let's go down one of my favorite testing trails here in Orange County. It's a trail called Laguna Ridge in Laguna Coast Wilderness Park. So without further ado, let's go for a shred and then we'll talk about the bike. Ew.
I think you mean TNA.
I can't say that. All right, well, here goes nothing. Trail called Laguna Ridge. Man, I really like testing on this trail. It's got a little bit of everything. Let's see what it's got. Whew. Corner coming up here. This is my favorite section on the trail. Whew. Oh yeah. Oh, it's so good. The high-speed stability is definitely noticeable on this over the older carbon Ripmo, and something I really have been enjoying. Now we're gonna get some nice whoops here that really do test out the suspension. Make sure everything's kind of dialed. Really love the straight line stability of this thing. Woo! And now we're making our way through what normally is a really fast section, but I'm having trouble seeing. It's not the bike's fault. As you can tell, it's the trail a bit. Oh. That. Woo, oh my god, that is bad. I feel like something is gonna jump out right now and take me hostage. This is not good. Oh my god. It just gets fast and chunky, and the Ripmo AF really shines here. Even though there's a lot of corners, it does really well kind of getting in and out of them. Still has that pop, even though it's a tad more stable now with the angle and the more progressive shock. Woo! Oh, hey, Hannah. And now we have a section coming up, well, 3 sections. I'm gonna do the roll today, just because I want to get a little rowdy on this bike. Take some rock rolls. I'm missing Canada. Woo! Okay, let's finish off this trail. I like to, I don't know what I like to do there. All right, right down the chunk. I'm sorry, I could barely talk. I'm gonna go high line here, right through this. Take the rowdier line, and the Ripmo AF eats it. Oh. But is it gonna eat this, or am I gonna eat myself? I don't know what I'm saying right now, guys. Couple of good chunky spots, but the bike definitely just eats it all up. Keeps the stability there and sends you to the end. All right, you guys, so hopefully you enjoyed that lap down Laguna Ridge. Obviously, I've been riding this a bunch over the last few weeks on a wide variety of trails and have been really impressed. But before I get into my thoughts on the bike, who it's for, I want to talk a little bit about the build and what I chose to upgrade. So for those of you who might not be familiar, me and Hannah both ride for Ibis Cycles. They are a sponsor of the channel, as well as DVO Suspension and Industry 9. Even before we started riding for them, I was a huge fan of the brand and also the suspension design. I'm a huge fan of DW Link. When they released the Ibis Ripmo AF, this was basically a more aggressive version of their offering of the carbon Ripmo. Obviously now there's the Ripmo V2, but before this was supposed to be the more aggressive version, and it was also alloy. The biggest thing with this bike was the price point. For $3,000, it got you in the door with an NX build kit, top of the line DVO suspension, and a really solid build overall. When I had time to put more time on this bike, I knew that I needed to make a couple of upgrades to just kind of see what the potential of this bike was, and also could it compete with the carbon version. But yeah, one more thing, if you guys wanted to build up an Ibis, a shop that we've been using recently was Pro Bike Supply. That was actually one of my first bike shop job. Those guys have a killer demo fleet as well if you want to test out an Ibis or any other bike. It's basically $65 for a 24-hour demo. Their demo fleet is insane. They really do have some top of the line demo bikes for you guys to try out, and then you can use that $65 towards anything in the shop, not just bikes. I actually went in there to see what their head mechanic Nico thought about the upgrades I was gonna make, and here's what he had to say about the Ripmo AF. We are here with the man, myth, and legend himself, Nico, and you're one of the head mechanics here at Pro Bike Supply?
Yes, I am. Pro Bike Supply, here is, we're the mountain bike kind of boutique shop of Orange County. Definitely known for our demo rentals here. We carry all the brands, Yeti, Pivot, Ibis, Transition, now carrying Specialized in Santa Cruz, but basically it's all about the experience, just getting people out there riding, you know, enjoy everything you can in our great area. Ripmo carbon version was our #1 selling bike here, still probably our #1 selling bike, and very close second is that AF coming in line. You know, great budget build. I can't think of a better bike at the $3,000 price point. We've ridden a lot of them. It rides like a $7,000 bike at that $3,000 price tag. Now you have plenty of rooms to upgrade it, but Ibis really knocked it out of the park with the geometry changes. As you can see, they did that with their V2 carbon. So obviously the AF was crazy successful in the whole design process.
What do you think are some, if I want to upgrade some stuff on there, what would you do first without knowing what I've already done?
You know, I think the suspension on a bike is fantastic. So we get to move right past that, which is usually the big price of the upgrade. Wheels are great. To be honest, NX Drivetrain works really well too. I would put some stronger brakes on it. Out here with our riding, you know, rather if you're going fast or slow, we have steep stuff, we have technical stuff. The brakes that come on it are decent, but what your main stopping power is an important part of the bike, and that's not a too expensive part to do. I would start with brakes and then move on to a carbon handlebar. Two good contact points of the bike that will make a very big noticeable change, actually.
Yeah, really awesome shop, and you guys, they also take care of friends of the channel. We have a code AwesomeMTB. Basically just let them know that we sent you the Awesome MTB thing, and not sure what they can do, whether it's a back rub or a foot massage or maybe some money saving somewhere, but yeah, they will definitely take care of you if you're a friend of the channel. So even though I did make a lot of upgrades, there are some that I definitely don't think I needed to make, but I'll go over my build currently and how it sits. Also, as always, in the description of this video, you will find a link to the entire build. So for the frame, I'm running an extra large frame. I'm 6'2". I do like my bikes to be a little bit on the bigger side, and I feel like the reach on this bike feels really good. So I am really happy that I went with an XL. For suspension, so in the front, I'm actually just running the DVO Diamond. I didn't really make a change in what fork I ran up front. I just ended up going with the green one, which I thought looked pretty cool with this, especially with the wheel combo I'm running here. And so that was purely like a stylish thing. A lot of people were a little confused. They were like, why aren't you going with the Onyx 29, which is the beefier offering from DVO? I actually really like the Diamond. Maybe I'm not like that crazy of a free rider, but I feel like I am a fairly aggressive rider. I weigh 200 pounds. I like to ride challenging trails, and I feel like the DVO Diamond really holds up to the trails that I ride. I knew I was getting that weight penalty with the alloy frame. I believe it's about a 2-pound weight penalty over the old carbon offering. I did want to try to keep this bike relatively light so I can still keep it as a do everything bike, and that's why I chose to stick with the Diamond. And yeah, really do like that fork up there. For the rear, I also stuck with the Topaz in the back. That is the air shock from DVO. It's also the stock shock that comes with this bike. A lot of people are like, were you not going to put a coil on there? Same reasoning there. I definitely like the weight savings that come with the air shock, and I also like the tunability aspect. It is a very tunable air shock. You also get the weight savings there. I think it feels really supple, and yeah, I just prefer air shock on this setup. If I was to have this more as my gravity oriented, not really going for big climbs bike, yeah, I would probably consider going with the coil. I really do like the Jade X. However, on this setup, want to keep it nice and light, and that's why I stuck with air. So for wheels, I ended up going with Industry 9's Hydra hubs. That's basically a ton of points of engagement. I think it's like 690. So there's a lot of points of engagement there. And I ended up lacing them to the Carbon Ibis 935S rims. And I'm a huge fan of those rims, primarily because the tubeless setup is so easy. And they've also been really durable. These are actually my older wheel sets that I was running on my old Ripmo as well. I've put them through the ringer, no issues, and been really pumped on them overall. And that's probably going to lead to a lot of people's other question is, what would you go with? The carbon rims first or the Hydra hubs? I just think that having those points of engagement really do enhance the feature of the ride. At the same time though, having carbon rims, man, the stiffness is there. It really helps with out of the saddle pedaling, and that's where I really like carbon. It just adds a little bit more stiffness to the overall platform. It's a tough call, but I think I would probably stick with the Ibis alloy rims, and I would just upgrade those hubs if you're trying to save some money. You don't want to go carbon, but that's what I did with these wheels. All right, so one of the more important upgrades I feel like I made, this was one that, man, I just really needed to upgrade this thing. Keep in mind, this was the $3,000 NX build, and I just felt like the part that I would probably prioritize would be the brake. So this bike does come with guide level T brakes, and even though they did get the job done, I just felt like that was probably the weakest spot on that build. And so yeah, everyone's got their own personal preference brake wise. I think Shimano XT brakes are essentially that really good brake that don't do anything great but do everything good, if that makes sense. I really do like how consistent these things feel. I really like how easy they are to maintain. They do have a good amount of modulation. They have a good amount of stopping power as well. Do I think they're the best in any of those departments? Not necessarily. I think that the best bang for buck overall that really does check all the boxes has been the XT4 piston for me. Once again, everything that I'm talking about right now is in the description of this video, so definitely check it out. So now for the cockpit area. So I have made a couple of changes here. Actually, I changed everything. Gonna be completely honest with you. Went with Industry 9's A31.8 stem. Basically, if you don't have to think about the reliability of your stem is doing a really good job. I do understand that certain stems have a little bit more different stiffness wise. I feel like the stiffness on this one is solid, but the more important thing is how cool this thing looks. And there's so much customization color wise on these. I went with the silver base with a green faceplate. You can customize it to all of the colors that Industry 9 offers. And yeah, if you're looking for a cool little accent on your bike by a really cool made in America brand, highly recommend checking out the Industry 9 stems. For the handlebars, I ended up going with Ibis's carbon 31.8 handlebars with a little bit of rise in there as well. And what I really like about these bars is on the end, there's actually these two caps that screw into the bars. And basically that allows you to, if they come stock at 800, but if you wanted to try your bars in a shorter side, take those end caps off and all of a sudden you have a 760 bar. Now, where it really is a cool thing for us is because Hannah actually runs her bars at 760. I run my bars, I'm always tweaking, but for a majority, a lot of places I run 800, and it allows us to essentially have one set of bars that we can both use depending on what bike they're going on. So yeah, I definitely think that's something cool about these. For the grips, I'm running the new P&W Loam grips, and I am super pumped on these. We also work with P&W components, but these grips work really well, especially for riders who don't run gloves. I personally can't run gloves. I don't know, they just bug me too much. And I feel like I get all of the traction that I would want on here. I'm not sure if the right word would be traction, but basically no slipping. And the profile is really nice too. They're not too thin, not too thick. And yeah, definitely been stoked on these, and they come in a lot of cool colors as well. And the other upgrade I made that I thought was a necessity was the Loam lever. Now for the Loam lever, essentially the stock lever on this is for the KS. They have like the over the bar lever. I thought the ergonomics, I know I'm butchering that word, weren't necessarily the most comfortable, but with that being said, the Loam lever feels super comfy, and you can actually, I think, run it with the KS. You can run it with most dropper posts out there. If your post is mechanically actuated, you can run the Loam lever, and I'm not kidding you guys. This has to be one of the most comfortable dropper post levers on the market. We are biased, but at the same time, just feel it. I definitely don't think you're gonna regret it. Now that dropper post lever is connected to my 200 mil Bachelor dropper post. So this 200 mil Bachelor post actually came off of my old Ripmo 2. I've had no servicing. Sorry, P&W, I probably should send it in for servicing, but also no issues. Yeah, that's probably one of the coolest part about the Bachelor post is 200 mils, and also, man, it's been super reliable, and that's tough to find in dropper posts. And when you do find that, you definitely want to keep that dropper post with you, because there's nothing more frustrating than a post that essentially is squishing on you during a ride. Now on that dropper post is probably one of the more awkward things we're gonna talk about today, and that is a woman's saddle. So this is actually the Specialized Mimic saddle, and yeah, it's made for women's. It actually belonged to Hannah before I stole it from her. I had a friend tell me that I should probably try it out. I don't know how he found out, but at the end of the day, it is so comfy. Definitely can recommend it. And yeah, I don't know what that says about me, but I'll let you guys just, assume anything you want. Let me know in the comment section what that says about me. All right, so now for the drivetrain. And so when I first got it, it had an NX drivetrain on here. And if you guys can tell, the NX drivetrain is still on there. I just couldn't really find anything where I was like, man, X01 or GX feels that much better to essentially put a new drivetrain on here. The NX stuff works remarkably well, and I would actually put it up there with the X01 stuff that I've run in the past as well. And I think that's, I mean, kudos to SRAM, because this drivetrain is, I think, pretty affordable. I don't know the exact cost. I'll put them all in the description of the video. But yeah, with that being said, the NX stuff is still here. The only change is I end up putting a GX cassette on just because I didn't have a old driver body for these hubs. And the last part I want to talk about today is going to be those pedals. I am back on the 1UP component pedals. I do think that these pedals are really awesome. The traction is there, my foot is not slipping. I do feel like I'm right at the border of, I have big feet and I also run a big shoe. I run the Impact Pros, which are pretty wide, and the bearing bump on the inside, that's the only thing that I feel every now and then, but I think I'm gonna keep running these just because the traction is so good. So those were all the upgrades I made, the changes I made, and why I made them. Now, I know a lot of you guys are probably wondering, what are my thoughts on this bike, on the aluminum? Do I think that the Ripmo AF can compete with its carbon? Big brother, big sister, little sister? Are they in the same category? Do I think that I would ride this over the carbon version? Overall though, the thing that's really apparent to me is I really like the changes that Ibis made to the Ripmo. You get a much more comfortable pedaling position when you are climbing steep climbs. And that's what I noticed with this bike is the change to the seat angle. I feel like I'm a little bit more on top of the bottom bracket. I feel like overall, I just feel a little bit more well balanced in the bike. Solid climber, especially out of the saddle. And that's something I really do appreciate about this bike. And same thing when it comes time for the downhill. Like I said, you still have that maneuverability and the pop from the suspension design with the DW link, but just overall that stability is very apparent. You really do feel that progression change they made to the rear end of this bike. You also feel that head angle, and overall it's just a really fun, stable ride. And that old Ripmo worked really well. Now, if you just want a little bit more aggressive of a platform, a little bit more high-speed stability, and nothing's gonna change climbing-wise. If anything, you might even get a little bit more extra power on those climbs from that more comfortable seated pedaling position. I definitely think consider trying out this frame. And that's probably gonna transition to a question that a lot of you guys are probably thinking is alloy or carbon? Which way do you go? To be completely honest with you, I don't think there is a right answer. Me personally, I probably will be going to the carbon offering. Actually, I am going to be going to the carbon offering. I put in my order for a carbon Ripmo V2. The reason I did that was primarily, I don't know, I just love trying new things. I know that I'm going to be on this thing for a little bit right now, and then I have the ability to try out a bike. Luckily, we are in a very fortunate circumstance to where we're in a position where we work with Ibis. However, if I was on the other side of the camera and I was someone who was trying to figure out what my next bike purchase would be, I would seriously consider trying out the aluminum Ripmo AF because number one, it's a very stiff frame. There wasn't too many instances where I was all like, man, I really need carbon right now. The stiffness, all that stuff is so much better in carbon. Not the case here. I felt like this bike frame handled really well, especially through the chunk. I felt like overall it climbed really well. It descended insanely well. And yeah, been really pumped on it. So if you want to save a little bit of money, I would seriously consider this bike. And there you guys go. Those are the changes I made to the bike. That's my thoughts and review on the bike and the whole carbon versus alloy situation. With that being said, I am curious to your guys' opinion. Which one would you guys get, the alloy or the carbon? Also, if you guys like this video, as always, if you could hit that like button, that would be awesome. If you want to help support the channel, we do have merch available, like these awesome MTB t-shirts. Yeah, awesomemtb.com if you want to pick one up. Helps out the channel a ton. We also have a Patreon page. It's patreon.com/awesomemtb. We really appreciate people who help support the channel through merch and our patrons as well, because we love doing this. We love doing review videos, bringing them to you guys, and they help out a ton. We really appreciate the support. But yeah, that's my thoughts. This is the video. At the end of the day, if you guys ride your bike, you're probably going to be happy. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. See you guys next time. Until next time, you guys, ride awesome. Was that good?